What's truly holding you back from achieving your dreams? It's a question that haunts many of us as we navigate through life, constantly feeling like we're on the precipice of something great, yet never quite making that final leap. Today, I want to dive deep into this question, exploring the complex web of barriers that keep us from realizing our full potential and how we can systematically dismantle them. I've spent years studying human potential, interviewing successful individuals across various fields, and analyzing the patterns that separate those who achieve their dreams from those who don't. What I've discovered might surprise you. The barriers we perceive as external are often deeply intertwined with our internal landscape. Let's unpack this together. First, let's acknowledge the reality of external barriers. These are the tangible obstacles that exist in our environment. Financial constraints, lack of resources, limited access to education or opportunities, systemic inequalities, and even geographical limitations. These barriers are real and can significantly impact our journey toward our dreams. Take financial constraints, for example. A 2023 survey revealed that 68% of Americans cite financial limitations as their primary reason for not pursuing their dreams. When you're worried about making rent or putting food on the table, dedicating time and resources to chase a dream can seem not just difficult but irresponsible. Similarly, geographical limitations can restrict access to certain industries or networks. If you dream of becoming a Hollywood actor but live in a small rural town thousands of miles from Los Angeles, the path forward isn't straightforward. However, what's fascinating is how these external barriers interact with our internal landscape. Our perception of these barriers often magnifies their impact. We might see a financial constraint as an insurmountable wall rather than a hurdle to overcome. We might view our geographical location as a permanent limitation rather than a temporary challenge. This brings us to the internal barriers, the psychological and emotional obstacles that often prove more limiting than any external circumstance. These include fear of failure, imposter syndrome, limiting beliefs, perfectionism, and what psychologists call the fixed mindset, the belief that our abilities and intelligence are static traits that cannot be developed. Fear of failure is perhaps the most pervasive internal barrier. A 2022 study found that 85% of people report that fear of failure has prevented them from pursuing goals at some point in their lives. This fear isn't just about the practical consequences of failure, it's about what failure means about us as individuals. We fear the judgment of others, the blow to our self-esteem, and the confirmation of our deepest insecurities. Closely related to fear of failure is imposter syndrome, the persistent feeling that you're not as competent as others perceive you to be, and that you'll eventually be exposed as a fraud. Research indicates that approximately 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their careers. What's particularly insidious about imposter syndrome is that it often intensifies as we achieve more success, creating a self-perpetuating cycle that can prevent us from fully embracing our capabilities. Then there are limiting beliefs, the deep-seated assumptions we hold about ourselves and the world that constrain our thinking and behavior. These beliefs often form early in life, shaped by our experiences, environment, and the messages we receive from others. They become the lens through which we interpret reality, often distorting our perception of what's possible. Common limiting beliefs include, "I'm not creative enough," "I don't have what it takes," "Success is for other people, not for me," "I'm too young to start," or "I need to have everything figured out before I begin." These beliefs act as self-fulfilling prophecies, influencing our actions in ways that confirm our existing narratives. Perfectionism is another significant internal barrier. While striving for excellence can be positive, perfectionism takes this to an unhealthy extreme. Perfectionists set unrealistically high standards, focus excessively on mistakes, and derive their self-worth entirely from achievement. This mindset leads to procrastination, avoidance of challenges, and ultimately paralysis. When we believe that anything less than perfect is failure, we often choose not to try at all. The interplay between these internal and external barriers creates a complex ecosystem of resistance that can feel overwhelming. But here's the good news. Understanding these barriers is the first step toward overcoming them. By recognizing the specific obstacles that stand between you and your dreams, you can develop targeted strategies to address them. Let's explore some practical approaches to dismantling these barriers, starting with the internal ones, as they often have the most significant impact on our ability to overcome external challenges. Developing self-awareness is crucial. Take time to identify your specific limiting beliefs and fears. What thoughts consistently arise when you consider pursuing your dreams? What narratives do you tell yourself about your capabilities and potential? Simply bringing these beliefs into conscious awareness diminishes their power. Once you've identified these limiting beliefs, challenge them with evidence. Our brains are wired to seek confirmation for our existing beliefs, a phenomenon known as confirmation bias. Counteract this by deliberately seeking evidence that contradicts your limiting beliefs. Have you succeeded at challenging tasks in the past? Have others with similar backgrounds achieved what you aspire to? Collecting this evidence helps rewire your neural pathways, creating new, more empowering beliefs. Adopting a growth mindset is another powerful strategy. Coined by psychologist Carol Dweck, the growth mindset is the belief that abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. This perspective views challenges as opportunities for growth, rather than threats to be avoided. Research shows that individuals with a growth mindset are more resilient, persistent, and ultimately more successful than those with a fixed mindset. Practicing self-compassion is equally important. Many of us are our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to standards we would never impose on others. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a good friend. Studies show that self-compassion enhances motivation, emotional resilience, and overall psychological well-being. Now let's address the external barriers. While we may not have complete control over these obstacles, we often have more agency than we realize. Financial constraints are common, but there are multiple approaches to addressing them. First, consider whether the financial requirements you've set for your dream are truly necessary or if they're based on assumptions. Many successful businesses, for instance, started with minimal capital. Second, explore creative funding options: microloans, crowdfunding, grants, or partnerships. Third, consider a gradual approach, pursuing your dream as a side project while maintaining financial stability through other means. For geographical limitations, technology has dramatically expanded possibilities. Remote work, online education, and digital networking have made location less relevant in many fields. If physical presence is necessary, consider temporary relocations, periodic visits, or building a local community related to your interests. Limited access to education or resources can be challenging, but there are more pathways available than ever before. Online learning platforms offer courses on virtually any subject, often at a fraction of the cost of traditional education. Mentorship, whether formal or informal, can provide guidance and shortcuts based on others' experiences. And communities of practice, groups of people who share a passion or interest, can offer support, feedback, and collaborative opportunities. Time constraints are another common barrier. Most of us juggle multiple responsibilities: work, family, health, social connections, leaving little time for pursuing dreams. The key here is intentionality. Audit how you currently spend your time and identify activities that don't align with your priorities. Even reclaiming small pockets of time, 30 minutes in the morning, an hour in the evening, can create space for meaningful progress when used consistently. Beyond these specific strategies, there are broader principles that can help you overcome any barrier on your path. Break down your dream into manageable steps. The gap between where you are and where you want to be can seem overwhelming when viewed as a single leap. Instead, identify the smallest possible action you can take today, then the next, and the next. Each step builds momentum and confidence for the ones that follow. Build a supportive community. Surrounding yourself with people who believe in your potential and understand your aspirations creates an environment conducive to growth. This community can provide encouragement during difficult times, celebrate your successes, and offer practical assistance when needed. Embrace failure as part of the process. Every significant achievement is preceded by multiple failures and setbacks. Rather than viewing these as indications that you should abandon your path, see them as valuable feedback that refines your approach. As Thomas Edison famously said about his numerous unsuccessful attempts to invent the light bulb, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Cultivate resilience through daily practices. Resilience isn't an innate trait, but a capacity that can be developed through intentional habits. Regular exercise, adequate sleep, mindfulness practices, and maintaining perspective through journaling or reflection all contribute to emotional resilience. Let me share a story that illustrates these principles in action. Sarah, a single mother of two, dreamed of becoming a software developer despite having no formal education in computer science. The external barriers were significant: limited financial resources, time constraints due to parenting responsibilities, and no connections in the tech industry. The internal barriers were equally challenging. Sarah doubted her ability to learn complex technical skills, feared she was too old to enter a new field at 38, and worried about how her pursuit might affect her children. Rather than allowing these barriers to define her possibilities, Sarah took a systematic approach to dismantling them. She started by addressing her limiting beliefs, researching stories of other career changers who had successfully transitioned into tech. She adopted a growth mindset, viewing her lack of experience not as a permanent limitation, but as a temporary state that could change with dedicated effort. For the external barriers, Sarah got creative. She found a free coding bootcamp that offered childcare assistance and scheduled her learning during times when her children were at school or asleep. She joined online communities of aspiring developers, finding mentors who provided guidance and encouragement. The journey wasn't linear. There were moments of doubt, technical challenges that seemed insurmountable, and days when balancing her responsibilities felt impossible. But by breaking down her goal into manageable steps and building a supportive community, Sarah persisted. 3 years later, Sarah works as a junior developer at a tech company that values her unique perspective and problem-solving abilities. Her journey didn't just transform her career, it changed how she views herself and what she believes is possible. Sarah's story highlights an important truth. The barriers between you and your dreams are rarely as solid as they appear. They're more like smoke, substantial when viewed from a distance, but capable of being dispersed when you move through them with intention and persistence. As we conclude, I want to offer a framework for identifying and addressing the specific barriers that stand between you and your dreams. This isn't just theoretical, it's a practical approach that you can begin implementing today. First, clearly define your dream. Vague aspirations are difficult to pursue. What specifically do you want to achieve? What would success look like? How would achieving this dream change your life? Next, conduct a barrier audit. List all the obstacles, both internal and external, that you perceive as standing in your way. Be comprehensive and honest. For each barrier, ask, is this based on facts or assumptions? Is it truly insurmountable, or does it just require a creative approach? What resources or support would help me overcome this? Then, develop a strategic plan. For each barrier, identify at least 3 potential approaches to addressing it. Remember that there are multiple paths to any destination. If one route is blocked, another may be open. Implement your plan with a focus on consistent, small actions. Progress compounds over time, and even modest steps, when taken regularly, lead to significant change. Track your progress not just in terms of outcomes, but also in terms of effort and learning. Finally, regularly reassess and adjust. As you move forward, some barriers will dissolve, while others may emerge. Stay flexible and willing to adapt your approach based on what you learn along the way. The journey toward your dreams isn't about eliminating all obstacles. It's about developing the capacity to navigate them effectively. Each barrier overcome not only brings you closer to your specific goal, but also expands your sense of what's possible in all areas of life. So I ask you again, what's truly holding you back from achieving your dreams? And more importantly, what will you do today to begin dismantling those barriers? The path may not be easy, but I promise you this. On the other side of those obstacles lies a version of yourself and your life that's worth every effort it takes to get there. Remember, the distance between dreams and reality is action. Not perfect action, not fearless action, just action. Start where you are with what you have, and watch as the barriers that once seemed immovable begin to give way to the force of your persistence and courage. What's the first small step you'll take today? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's build a community of dreamers who refuse to be defined by the barriers they face.